It is really a great honor to address you today at the 34th Nizami Conference here in New York. This forum offers an important opportunity to reflect on the challenges before us and to reaffirm the values of cooperation and the values of dialogue. This year, as we mark the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, we celebrate a vision that has guided the world through decades of profound change. The vision of nations united in the pursuit of peace, justice, and human dignity. It is a vision born from the ruins of war, a vision born from cities in ashes, a vision born from sorrow and tears, but still raised by the faith that humanity can rise above fear. Our task, 8 years later, is not only to keep that flame alive, but to make it even more powerful and more effective to face all the challenges that the world is facing today. The United Nations has delivered so far some major results, even remarkable results. It helped to prevent major wars, to advance human rights throughout the world, to lift hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. But with these successes, expectations have also grown. And today, indeed, multilateralism stands at the crossroads. The challenges are very clear. Trust in institutions is weakening. Unilateral approaches are on the rise throughout the world. Inequalities are deepening. And new threats, including cyber and hybrid threats, terrorism, and disinformation, cut across borders and defy unilateral solutions. Dear colleagues, misinformation spreads faster than truth, thus eroding trust and fueling divisions. And climate change is not just a warning from the scientists. It is flooding our land and our homes. It is burning crops and leaving millions without food, healthcare, and a better future. And at the same time, the global order is increasingly shaped by non-state actors, those in technology, in finance, in media, whose influence rivals that of the governments and of states. And these dynamics make cooperation more complex. But dear colleagues, they also make our cooperation more necessary than ever before. So there is no doubt, if multilateralism fails, no nation will stand secure. If it succeeds, all nations will benefit and share the benefits. The pathways to peace are equally clear. We must rebuild trust in international institutions, strengthen respect for the international law, and ensure that our frameworks of cooperation are more inclusive and more effective. We must put human security above narrow interests and diplomacy above confrontation. Lasting peace is built not on isolation but on listening, understanding, and on compromise. We do not need more divisions. We need more dialogue. And let me quote here probably the most famous writer from our region, a Nobel laureate, Ivo Andrić, who wrote in his masterpiece, The Bridge on the River Drina, of everything that man erects and builds in his urge for living, nothing is, in my eyes, better and more valuable than bridges. They are more important than houses, more sacred than temples, for they belong to all and are equal for everyone. This timeless truth reminds us that bridges are not only structures of stone, but structures of peace and dialogue. And it is a dialogue that builds bridges. And it is only through bridges that nations can walk towards peace. For my country, for Montenegro, these pathways are not theoretical. They are our daily reality. As a small state, our security and prosperity depend on dialogue, on rules, on institutions. That is why multilateralism is the cornerstone of our foreign policy, aligned with our European and Euro-Atlantic paths, and rooted deeply in our good neighborly relations and commitment to our regional cooperation. That is why Montenegro is committed to multilateralism. It guarantees that even the smallest voice, like the one of Montenegro, can be heard in shaping the future of our great world. And that is why we strongly support the UN 80 initiative launched by the Secretary General of the United Nations. We believe it can transform this great organization to effectively meet the needs of today and, even more importantly, the needs of tomorrow. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, the world is in search of a new equilibrium. We stand at a turning point. We can retreat into divisions, or we can move forward together. And this is why I'm also here today with all of you, to once again say that history teaches us that when nations cooperate, humanity prospers. But when nations turn inward, everyone loses. As President of Montenegro, I assure you that my country will continue to stand firmly on the side of the dialogue, cooperation, and international law. Our voice may be the one of a small country, but it is consistent and clear. Peace can only be secured together. Every nation, every voice, every effort matters. To conclude, let us therefore mark this 80th anniversary not only by recalling our past achievements, but by renewing our common purpose. It is the purpose which is the most important. And the purpose is to leave to future generations a world which is safer, fairer, and more humane than the one we inherited. Our task is not to be passive heirs of history, but active builders of a better legacy. So let the next 80 years of the United Nations be not years of hesitation, but of courage and solidarity. Thank you very much for your attention.